Hallelujah. Okay. This is about my beginning approach and how I went into my first real intense psychedelic experience. It was LSD, and it just so happened I found some really good stuff, and luckily I was able to take it that day with a friend of mine. And what happened this day has changed my entire life, my entire perspective on reality. It was not the first time, but it was the first real intense experience that answered very few questions and made me ask even more. The first question that I asked was, is reality a simulation? So, going into the experience, it was already decided that that's what I was going to see because that's what I believed. And if anything, it pretty much proved that it could be. So, lightly touching on what happened in that time was the most memorable experience being the very end of the trip. The goal being to seize the program, the reality, stop it, not move. No conscious thought, no motion, not a muscle moved. And the feeling that I got from this was that there was either hundreds of people or a group of people around me in this dimensional space, dancing, all in perfect synchronicity and unison. The colors were beautiful, and it was lovely. But that's not why I was there. I was not there to dance. So I decided, well, laying on the floor in that dimension. I was still sitting on the couch, but in that dimension I was laying on the floor, and everyone in that dimension was trying to get me up. Was trying to stand me up and get me to dance and join them. And I refused. I just stayed there, locked in limbo, motionless in a different dimension, aware of this one and that one. And where that brought me was to seeing tube TVs on the wall with multiple faces, all bald, hairless, and the same face, covering the entire wall, probably about 20 of them. They'd look one way, and the light would follow the direction of their face as if it was a tunnel, like an effect on an IMAX camera if you use the light tunnel filter. And where this led me at the end of the trip is just fascinating. Sitting on a couch, chair, arms still on the side, just barely doing anything, just breathing, existing, doing, maintaining survival attributes. But the freaking craziest thing was there was a white screen in my visual field with this Shia LaBeouf looking guy who was trying to get me to react, respond, and move, do anything. And when I became aware of him, I didn't think about it. I didn't move or react until I was conscious enough to come to this point. What are you? He looked confused and immediately disappeared, and like that, I was back, I was conscious, fully awake, could move, function normally. ever since then, no matter what anyone tells me, this reality could easily be a simulation. I have no doubt in my mind that this is not base reality. This is reality that my physical form is based in, but it is not limited to the understanding that I had then. The potential of this understanding being quite incredible than another entity, like I said, Shia LaBeouf looking guy, wearing a black shirt with a white background. It's trying to get me to move. This isn't even the craziest thing I've experienced. But as a warm-up to what's gonna come, I think it's appropriate to mention my life has never been the same since. I have so many questions that are still unanswered, but the potential behind what is possible, I've learned, is not limited by anything other than imagination and what you believe and what you actualize. Now, I'm not saying you can learn telekinesis in a day. Who knows how long that would take, how much meditation, focus, and control. I'm willing to find out. Soon I will be attempting to practice for an hour a day. However that works out, well, if it doesn't, I meditated for an hour. If it does, I will be able to call myself a wizard and prove it to people. For I already believe and know that I am a wizard. For I have walked between dimensions, I have seen many sights. I have sent energy across 3-meter distance to the hand of another and got a reaction. There are a great many things in this world I would love to bring to light. But the actual fact that I understand is in ancient Egypt and Greece, they referred to people as gods. Now, I'm not saying I'm a god. I don't have a god complex. It really isn't that complex. I'm not a religious person, but I will say this. In his own image. So, from that understanding, if it is true, and I believe it is, we are not limited to just moving and interacting with our physical forms. When you dive deep enough into causality, like I have, you realize that the more aware and attentive you are about the happenings in the world, archaic magic. Some people don't exactly believe crystals do anything. I, for one, am open-minded, and I do believe they do have a use. They do have a spiritual use. Now, I cannot specify what it is, for it isn't exactly limited to what I believe it could be. I'm just saying, don't doubt something that you haven't tried to understand first. To think something is ridiculous, crazy, or impossible before you have even tested it is ridiculous. Unless it doesn't fit with your paradigm. But remain open-minded about things of such nature. There are many beautiful things in this world, and the capacities of creativity in the human mind are one of them. It is unbelievable, or very believable, depending on who you are, as to what is actually possible in this life. Another question I had when I first started is, what is the point? Well, think of it as a blunt stick, and your spirit is a sword or a knife. It is up to you to make the point. Back to simulation theory. If we are in a simulation, playing on other people's stories about the moon and it being unable to be visited in astral projection form. Now, I cannot yet do this myself. I am more rooted in the third dimension, fourth and fifth, as to what I do. I've not reached the level of being able to exit my body visually yet. But following the stories of not being able to visit it, I have a theory that there is either a race or a singular entity being either trapped or contained till a certain time, till a certain mission, action, or event is completed. Now, I'm not just singing this because the man in the moon, but it is simply my theory. Another thing, what are my limits? Well, my limits are untested, as yours are. How can you truly know your limits if you have not explored every possibility? And when I say every possibility, I mean there are so many possibilities out there, as thought is an excavation of the current of possibility. If you can think it, you still won't be able to fart missiles. But if you can affect reality with words alone, and I'll use the example of who's the real superhero? Tony Stark as Iron Man, or the man who talked to Tony once in a restaurant and got him off drugs and gave him the opportunity to be the man he is today. What I love about that story is there are two superheroes in it, but the real one isn't in the movies. It's just the fellow that said a few kind words, and the butterfly effect took its course and changed history. So, if you're ever doubting your own power, think back. A regular person, an everyday Joe, created the possibility of Iron Man. So, what can you do with your voice? For I am just learning what I can do with mine.